Oh, hello. How are ya? I was writing down some notes really quick. My assistant Robert decided to turn me on, and I'm still taking notes. I see Jihad, Kyle, Lamar, Delaney, Adriana, Dan, Allison, and another Dan. Okay. We're Dan. Okay. Allison, Dan Weir again. Okay. Ryan. I'm just taking notes as to who's joining so I can post people's attendance quicker than I did last time. Now, do remember that you don't have to do the quiz, the summary type quiz, if you've attended. Now, if it gets to the next live stream, like Tuesday or Wednesday, if you still don't see your attendance posted, then you can go ahead and send me an email and niggle me a little bit and say, hey, I was there, and I'll let you know if I've recorded it or not. But I try to be good about recording this particular one. I've not recorded anybody else, any of the other grades yet, so a little bit behind there because I had a little bit of catching up on the other issues. When there are 25 people in the class, there's a few names to write down. So, first off, to get things started, while I continue to write down names, we'll be here, but not quite. Tristan will be here, but not quite as active. That's fine. Thanks for letting me know. If you could answer the poll that Robert's going to post, just for curiosity before we start the Kahoot, okay?
And the poll says, what do you think of cryptocurrencies? 4 options. I own and use crypto. I own crypto as an investment. Interested but don't own any, or just not interested.
Okay. At work. Tristan's at work. Okay. That's a good reason. Nice to be able to listen, though, too. So Allison won't be super active either, but some people have things to do. But I appreciate you being here to listen. That's good. Okay, I have 16 names on my paper. I have 16 concurrent viewers, so it looks good. Anton just joined. That's a new name. Okie dokie. All right, very, very good. Maybe one of those folks dropped, but that's okay. So how are we doing on our survey here, Robert? Can you close it so we can see results?
Sure. We have 16 votes here. We already kind of have a clear leader here. Kind of interesting.
Interested but don't own any?
Yes.
Okay. Own cryptos and investments. So quarter of you do. So about 4 of you. I own and use crypto. 6. Oh, wow. Use it also. And not interested. Okay.
Yep. So it looks like one person owns and uses and one person just not interested.
Okay. Hey, that's way cool. That's kind of nice to know that the layout, that 62% of you and 25% of you plus the other 6, have an interest. So if I bring up a cryptocurrency topic, you're not going to just fall over dead and not pay any attention. Other than the one person that's just not interested in crypto. And there's a good reason not to be interested in crypto. Crypto is pretty volatile most of the time, and it doesn't have anything to really tie itself down to other than just pure demand. And if the demand is good that day, fine. If the stock market scares a bunch of people and all of a sudden the market becomes risk averse, a lot of people will pull their money out of crypto and it'll go down right along with the stock market. So it's not a good hedge against anything if you're wanting to go from crypto to the stock market. And I don't know if I trust the bond market all that well or money markets all that well lately either. So it's a tough put, a tough road to hoe right now in the investment area. So let's do our Kahoot review today. see how well people do. And we're loading the game pin here. Game pin is 61005. And Ebony. Okay, Ebony's here. And we'll wait for people to get joined up here. Robert will post. Okay.
If you can't join the Kahoot because you only have one device with you, if you could type in the comments what your answer is and try to participate as much as you can.
All right. Okay. Joy and Amy. Lamar and Sydney. Okay. Okay. Hey, Robert.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Okay. You're posting it right over the picture part of the live stream. That's interesting. By the way, I did get my 5th monitor over this last week, so cheers. And when I look up that direction, I'm looking at a 42-inch television that is showing me information about the live stream. So when I look up there, I just want to make sure that I'm still centered in the picture and that things are looking good on the right side. So, all right, Robert, it looks like we've got 12, 13 people, 14 people logged in, including you. 14 people logged in, including you. Okay, there we go. Joy came back. Okay, very good.
That sounds about right with 2 people who are...
All right. Well, we've got 15, so I know that one person's at work. They may not be able to play the game with us, so let's go ahead and get started. Anybody who's not here can go ahead and join. So, blockchain for business, week 2. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get started. Okay, what is a shadow ledger? Red, a distributed ledger kept in parallel with its existing systems. Blue, a secondary ledger used for backup and redundancy. Yellow, a type of ledger encryption unique technique to hide transaction details. And green, a virtual ledger used for testing and developing purposes. So what is a shadow ledger? One of those answers is true. The others are not so true. All righty, 10 of them.
And unlike last week when the questions were mostly just general knowledge, all of these come from chapters 1 and 2 of the textbook.
Yeah.
So.
And it gives me a good chance to review these items so that everybody can get a little better picture as we go through the book, what the book is really trying to get at. So that's good. All righty. Well, red is the correct answer, and only 2 of you were able to come up with that. That's okay. A lot of times what will happen in the development of a blockchain is they'll keep a shadow ledger, or in a lot of developing, it's sometimes considered parallel systems for a period of time. Like in Boeing, we would deploy a system and we'd keep the old system running for a period of time to make sure that they were still giving the same result back. Sometimes in all your testing, it's not until you get it live that you actually notice whether or not you really have it right. So while yellow is a good answer, it's definitely not a technique to hide transactions. The whole idea of blockchain is that transactions are not hid, they're very transparent. And then the other big one, secondary ledger used for backup. Well, when you have a distributed ledger, you've got an automatic backup on however many computers as you have nodes in the system. So there's really no need for backup or redundancy because a distributed ledger is already redundant. Okay, so good knowledge pickup there. Okay, so there's the 2 folks that answered it. And let's go to the next one. True or false? Governance is required for a blockchain to function. True or false? Blue is true and red is false. Blue is go, red is stop. Maybe we should have made it green. I don't know. Governance. Everybody loves governance, right? All the people that wanted to do SOX compliance audits and so forth, they're just control freaks as far as I'm concerned. Personal bias, and I can say that now that I'm retired. I couldn't say that when I was at Boeing.
Yes, I too wish to ban crazy colored socks. They must all be boring and black or brown.
All right, Robert. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not in the finance industry.
In a Ponzi scheme, wouldn't it be yellow? That's a good one. That's a good one. Most everybody got it. It is. In order to build a blockchain, one of the very first things you start with is a governance structure that allows work to be done in certain areas by certain people, and in order to get it actually modeled, it almost starts out as a full-fledged blockchain during development among the developer individuals. It's a closed blockchain, of course, only permissioned for those people, but governance is the very first. The division of labor, so to speak, is the very first thing that gets implemented. So that's a good one. Okay, scoreboard, and we have Jihad has answered both of them correct, must have. And we have several other people, of course, that got points that time. That's good. Okay, 3. What are the 3 challenges to the application of enterprise blockchain? Red, scalability, interoperability, and scope. Or blue, governance, encryption, and interoperability. Or yellow, scope, governance, and motivation. Or green, compliance, scalability, and motivation. This one's a tough one. I'll bet you we'll have everybody kind of spread across evenly, because this one you'd have to really be reading between the lines almost in the book.
Yeah,
but it's an important point.
The authors make an argument as to why these particular ones are the challenges and why the other things which are perceived challenges really aren't. That the 3 that they answer are what you should be focusing on. All of our discussion times before the answer, which doesn't help too much.
Yeah. Okay. Yellow was got 4 answers, and we are pretty well spread. But scope, you have to keep the scope within the ability of the blockchain to service. In other words, the scope has to be finely pointed to what the blockchain is trying to solve. A lot of times, I mean, we hear of scope creep in our industry all the time. You know, when we program in IT, the IT people want to put more features in it. The user keeps wanting to add more features. The users, when they've given the requirements, all of a sudden think of things that they say they forgot, and they may be, fudging the truth a little bit there or not. You never know. So scope and then governance we talked about in the last thing. And motivation. Now, motivation is kind of an interesting one, because when we start talking about tokenization, you'll begin to understand a little bit more about the motivation, because motivation and governance somewhat go together in developing a blockchain, because all of the work done presents itself with tokens to the people doing the work. So there's that form of payment going back and forth. Because remember, you might have 10 businesses all with their own agendas, all with their own, balance sheets, trying to keep this thing going and get it pushed over. Well, in that type of an environment, you really need to be able to divide up the cost, and thus tokenization helps you divide up the cost among the members for who's doing the actual work. So governance, motivation, and then keep the scope under control, folks. Okay, so how are we doing? Well, Dan moved up, and Robert moved up. Okay, and Jihad is just, boy, Jihad, you must be have memorized the book. Okay, what industries can benefit from blockchain? Banking and financial, healthcare, supply chain management, or pretty much all industries. Allison votes for yellow. Okay.
Speaking of the previous question for a few minutes,
Uh-huh.
one could attribute a lot of the failures of blockchains in the past to those three. You can trace them right back. A lot of the hacks that have happened is because of poor policies implemented by governance. A lot of the failures have happened because they have the wrong scope. You look at Bitcoin itself, when it's had the hard forks with Bitcoin Cash and stuff, is because some people wanted a different scope than what the mainline blockchain wanted, and it causes problems.
All right. Well, I didn't fool many here. All industries, yes, pretty much all industries can benefit. All industries usually get supplies, and they have a supply chain. Service industries have the need for privacy, such as healthcare. Banking and financial has the need for sending their data securely from place to place. So pretty much I haven't seen a single industry yet that couldn't benefit in one aspect of their business at least for the use of blockchain. Okay, so in the scoreboard we have Jihad just hanging on to his lead. Dan's trying hard and Ryan's moved up. Okay, Jihad has 4 correct answers. Woo. There's only been 4 questions, so it's kind of hard. This is multi-select. In other words, which of the following are disruptive elements of blockchain? Choose one or more. So red is security. Blue is smart contracts. Yellow is transparency. Green is immutability. Teal is consensus. And purple is tokenization.
And speaking of all the different industries that can use blockchain, my favorite one was the blockchain implemented in Hollywood, which we probably will talk about at some point during the class.
Yeah, probably will.
Yeah.
Somebody will run across it and post it in the Wednesday posting. Okay. It's taking people a little longer to answer this with choosing which ones are really the right answers here. Okay. Okay. The only not correct answer was tokenization. So any of you that answered, all the others were perfect. It looks like we had a couple people that answered in purple. So everybody looks like they did fairly well. I wonder how this one gets scored, Robert. Let's see. Okay. Oh, oof. Jihad took a hit. Okay, and Dan took over, up 9 places. Joy climbed the fastest this last time. That's good. All right, question 6. What social good has blockchain not provided? What have they not done? Prevented counterfeit sales through provenance tracking. Secured data to prevent data breaches. They've cured cancer. Traced foodborne illnesses to prevent spread, and that's a green answer. Which one have they not done for us? All right, we have 15 answers in. There must be somebody logged in that doesn't answer each time. Okay. Okay, here we go. And we have almost a unanimous verdict that hasn't cured cancer for us yet, thankfully. But we have just the two people who voted for green. Traced foodborne illnesses to prevent harmful illness spread. That is true. The IBM blockchain that Walmart uses and Golden State Foods in California uses, and several others actually. We actually talk about a fish vendor up in Maine that uses it. It's called the IBM Food Trust. And literally it can track it can track where the produce or where the food has come from, so that if there's foodborne illness in a certain area, they can nail down what it is and trace it all the way back to the vendor that it came from. And this is really critical. A while back, there was one where romaine lettuce was taken off the shelf because it was causing an E. coli breakout, and all of the romaine lettuce just left the shelves for about 3 months, and they had to they destroyed billions of dollars of produce from everybody that had supplied through the vendors and through the supply chains. And really, that illustrated the need for being able to zero down to even the exact farm that the food came from. So they only closed down the one farm. They fixed the real problem rather than hoping they solved the problem by destroying all the produce. So moving forward, okay. And Adriana zoomed to the lead, and Jihad came back up a little, and we got Dan there. Okay, yeah, we have 4 out of the 5 on that list increasing, going up. Okay, which attribute is not a part of enterprise blockchains? Being anonymous is red, scalable is blue, secure is yellow, and accountable is green. Which attribute is not a part of enterprise blockchains? Okay. Let's see what we get here. This is question 7 of 8. We only have one more. There it is. Okay. Okay, here we go. And good. Blockchains are not anonymous. Enterprise blockchains are not anonymous. They allow the people who use it to log in and actually have specific logins that identify them. And that is an incredibly huge attribute that makes blockchains for business work. Because if they had to have a public type blockchain like Bitcoin, it would be way too slow to do most of the types of business that blockchain needs to do for an enterprise. So going forward, all righty, have a couple that entered the picture here, Lamar and Nehal, they're doing good. All righty. Next, last question, what part does motivation play in the implementation of a blockchain? And here we have a motivational speaker, and it says it helps everyone get rich, and it keeps development moving forward. That's blue. Yellow creates tech evangelists is yellow, and green establishes correct behavior. And that's green, and red is helps everyone get rich.
And of course, this one's looking for the most correct answer, because you can only answer one.
Yeah.
We are up to 23 concurrent viewers, so it looks like we have most of the class here today.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That is way cool.
So we're at the final question of the Kahoot, but for your information for next week or in the future, you can join late using the number on the screen.
Yeah, we've got a problem with one person that says the game on his phone is starting before the questions are asked, so it's timing out before you can answer for some reason.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
That's part of the reason why the questions are a minute long.
Well, gosh, I
try to
fooled a
help you
lot
out
of
there.
people with this one, Robert. Keeps development moving forward. While that is true, the whole point of the motivation part of it, which is tokenization, is that it establishes the correct kind of behavior based on the governance rules. So, same with Delaney. Okay.
Okay. One thing I do recommend is trying to refresh the stream sometimes. That'll improve your delay. But I apologize.
All right. Can you check the dashboard and see if the stream settings, see if it got listed with a delay?
Sure, I'll take a look.
Okay, and number 1 on the podium is Adriana. All right. We have a different number 1 today. We got Lamar and Nehal.
With only a 5-point gap between first and second place.
Ooh, that was close. That was close. That's almost like the last Cup race, where it was a photo finish, and the last two. I mean, they're going 200 miles an hour, and the time difference between them was 0.005 seconds.
Which Cup race was this?
The one at Daytona last week.
Okay, Daytona.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one at Daytona.
Very cool.
So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for playing. That was fun. Okay.
Well, good try, Jihad. You
It just kicked him out of the
good.
game, Delaney. Just kicked Delaney out of the game. Okay. Yes, I do still have it. Okay, so let's put out that second poll that we wanted to do. We have a poll, and we're asking, what is it, Robert?
What is your major?
Yeah. I haven't listened to all of the video introductions yet, so, and I don't normally take notes as to who's having what major, but let's just take a little poll here, see how many are cybersecurity majors, see how many are just are programming majors or other types of IT. Okay?
Oh, okay. Well, I wrote it as other IT. I'm going to add in programming.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. You'll have the poll there. Now you can go ahead and answer it on the poll if you would.
Yeah.
So far it's 100% cyber.
Yeah, 4 of you right up front. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Okay, we got a couple others that are other IT. And the reason why we specified cybersecurity is because of the next article, because you're going to be very interested in the next article if you're in definitely in cybersecurity. Okay. Well, okay, let's look at those results, Robert.
Oh, just before the end, one last person snuck in. We almost had a perfect 75-25 split.
Okay, very good.
Networking.
Dan Weir is in networking. Okay, that's cool. Nobody in other. These should all be IT people. They're the only ones required to take this course as IT people.
What do you mean? People don't do this just for fun? Blockchain and business?
No, they're not doing it just for fun.
Okay.
They've got to deal with me, just because it's required.
They're forced
Robert,
into the class.
Be nice. Be nice. Okay.
Sorry, I was a business major.
Yeah. All righty. Well, this person, we're going to talk about the role of blockchain in cybersecurity. So maybe you could just do a quick answer to the chat window. What is the main role of cybersecurity? Answer in 1 or 2 words. See if we get a few answers and I can build off of that.
Yeah, it looks like our stream delay is around 15 seconds today. So that's on the high side for normal stream delay.
Okay, Jihad, prevention of what? Okay, protection of what? Defense of what?
They're getting the first word right.
Yeah, they're getting the first word. Securing networks against what?
You asked for like 1
Protection
or 2
of
words.
data. There we go. Protect digital systems. Safety. Well, safety, yeah. Well, safety if you're talking about systems that could be corrupted like electrical systems or systems that actually perform work. Yeah, that would be true. But 9 times out of 10, it's securing the systems against hack and against the corruption of data or the loss of data to competitors. Yes, unethical behaviors is absolutely true as well. So what we've got here is this man, Pradeep Oswal, is the head of the Blockchain Council. Now, the Blockchain Council is the premier certification board for any blockchain blockchain major. So if you want various blockchain degrees, you're interested in particular blockchain courses, you can go there and they'll give you a certification in the particular thing. They've got courses laid out and they're modifying them all the time. In fact, you'll see in my auto signature, or you'll see on the syllabus that I have a blockchain expert certification. That blockchain expert certification came from the Blockchain Council. And during the time that I took it, I was wondering if I was ever going to finish because they kept adding courses to it. And so I'd get down a certain way and then I'd come back a couple of weeks and there's a couple more courses to take. And, I just finally needed to just push it over the top and get it done before they added courses until I was, old and gray or grayer anyway. So that's where he comes from. That's what his organization does. And they also put out a lot of good information on blockchain. So here is an article for them. And so when we're talking about blockchain in cybersecurity, I want to go over a few of the statements in here to get you an idea of what he meant. He says, by understanding its potential applications and key advantages, we can appreciate how blockchain has the capacity to fortify defenses, protect sensitive data, and reshape the future of cybersecurity. Now, how is that going to happen? He goes into various items that tell how that's going to happen. He says, one of the most significant contributions of blockchain to cybersecurity lies in its ability to enhance data integrity and transparency. Traditional data storage and transmission methods are susceptible to tampering and unauthorized access. In contrast, blockchain employs a decentralized and immutable ledger, where each transaction is cryptographically linked, making it nearly impossible to alter and manipulate the data. Through its decentralized nature, blockchain eliminates the reliance on a single point of failure, rendering it highly resistant to hacking attempts. So all of the companies out there that have their own data warehouses, or they house their data warehouses in the cloud through AWS, Amazon Warehouse Services, or other vendors, will still have that single point of failure, in that if all of their data is there, and of course they've got backup redundancies in other areas, but the main focus of attack ends up being those data warehouses. And so he's saying once you get it distributed to several ledgers, it makes it very difficult to hack into and to make it invalid. The mutable identity management. By leveraging blockchain's cryptographic principles, users can securely store their personal information and control the permissions granted to various entities. So in a blockchain for business, not only are the functions of the blockchain on the blockchain and immutable because of the distributed ledger, but also the credentials of all the people who use it. And that becomes just as hardened as the other data that's on that blockchain. So you can see its use in human resources, you can see its use in finance, you can see its use all over the place by being able to secure that personal information. Okay, more secure transactions. Traditional financial systems often involve intermediaries. I always wonder about those intermediaries. They know a lot about my business, and they remember things, and they can jot things down on notes, and they can, in a lot of ways, they're far less trustworthy than cryptographic transactions going between systems. So that's the point he's making here. Involve intermediaries such as banks or payment processors, which introduce vulnerabilities and potential points of attack. Blockchain technology offers a decentralized framework that enables secure, direct, peer-to-peer transactions without the need for those intermediaries. So it, based on the computerized nature, can very directly contract with each other peer-to-peer. Now, real-life case studies, there's 3 here that I've highlighted. The 4th was one that I was absolutely fascinated with. The IBM and Maersk, they say, are working together. Either he's not reading the news to realize that in about March, was it, that they shut the IBM and Maersk blockchain down. It was called TradeLens. And there's a lot of information about TradeLens, both on YouTube and on the web. Some of it's not up to date, saying that they chose to stop or discontinue it. What happened was that they didn't get a depth of users, and not having enough users on board using it, it didn't have enough motivation behind it. It didn't have enough money coming into it to keep it alive and keep the programming and updates alive. So that one has bit the dust. It was incredible, the good that it did, but how much good it did didn't outweigh the amount of cost that Maersk was involved with after the downturn in the global economy. So Guard Time is a company that uses blockchain to provide cyber solutions. Intel is developing blockchain systems to secure their IoT devices, and the United Nations is using blockchain to help secure elections. 2024? I would love to see that. I don't think we're going to get that far. So that's the whole idea, that literally the attributes of blockchain can literally provide greater security and better cybersecurity, and hopefully make you cybersecurity majors a little bit, your job a little bit easier. But unfortunately, there's not enough blockchains out there yet. That might be one of the initiatives that you push, because you know that it could help secure their data better. Okay. Any last comments, either in the chat or you, Robert? Anything?
Yeah, sure. Well, this kind of goes back to our previous discussion during Kahoot, talking about governance and what is governance and why is it necessary. Well, part of that governance teams are experts that know different things about different industries. Having a cybersecurity professional on the governance board is absolutely essential to ensure that not only does it conform to the standards that you have, but that it'll actually keep the data safe that you're trying to use with the blockchain network.
Very good. Very, very good. Okay. Let's do our third and final poll here. The next poll is, I just kind of like to know if any of you have heard of Hyperledger Fabric.
There we go. Didn't
All
know
right,
that one on
there. Okay. Okay. No. Okay, somebody has. One person out of the group has so far, at least. Okay. How many votes do you have in there, Robert?
Oh, looks like we got 18 votes. However, I would note that yes is for, yes, it's my favorite indie band.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nope, looks like you're going to be introducing it to a whole group of people today.
Looks like I'm going to be introducing it to everyone. That's okay. So let's see the final tally there. And okay, there's the final tally. Okay, very good. Very good. Well, I went to Hyperledger, the Hyperledger Fabric homepage, and downloaded this article because it's really critical that you know about Hyperledger Fabric, because it is one of the major competitors in the blockchain market. So here you are. You're a business. You're a business that provides widgets to people who need widgets. I'm not an IT person. My business isn't in IT. We've got a small IT department, but they basically keep the desktops working and on the desk, and they know Microsoft Office like the back of their hand, but they don't know much more. We outsource all of our networking stuff. We outsource our data warehouse stuff. We put that in the cloud. So that's kind of the makeup of most businesses. Medium to large businesses, really, their expertise and core functionality, core expertise is not in IT. So here you've got, what do you do at that point? Well, you go out and you find a vendor. And you go find a vendor that can help build you a blockchain, because you've heard that blockchain is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you want it to save you a ton of money. Okay, so that's the motivation. And if you go to IBM, 9 chances out of 10, they're going to use Hyperledger Fabric as the blockchain foundation to begin building your business on top of that. In other words, Hyperledger Fabric is a blockchain that can be taken, lifted, and put into a business, and then all of the building blocks can then be put on to make your business work within the Hyperledger. So let's go down and find out what it is and how it works, okay? Now, the main focus of business is that they are not going to be on a public blockchain, okay? In other words, they're not going to just decide to go to the greatest whiz bang website and open up a new finance tool, public finance tool that's just been written that wants you to use it and earn a whole bunch of money when you deposit, and buy and lend and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to do that. That's just not part of what they do. And most of every blockchain that's out there right now is focused on money, focused on finance, and not a whole lot on other functions. But when business goes out, they want to automate their supply chain, or they want to automate their HR records, or they want to automate the transactions between locations in their business if they're a multinational business. They're not concerned about doing it in the public. They're going to do it with a closed number of people and a closed group of suppliers and vendors and people that they sell to, and possibly other businesses that are in the same sort of business. Like if all of them are in aerospace, they might join together to use one blockchain. But in that kind of case, this first highlighted area pertains to them. It says, rather than an open, permissionless system, Fabric offers a scalable and secure platform that supports private transactions and confidential contracts. So we've heard of smart contracts, and we're going to hear a lot more of them as the class progresses. But contracts basically are the code that runs that says, if this case exists, then we're going to go do this. It could be a real estate contract. It could be a contract between two parties, vendor versus reseller, or it could be a contract between the supplier and the manufacturer. Those kind of contracts that are filled out, all the agreements made, and all the information there for them to do business with each other. So Hyperledger Fabric supports all those private transactions as well as those contracts. This architecture allows for solutions developed with Fabric to be adapted for any industry, thus ushering in a new era of trust, transparency, and accountability for business. Now, if you go to IBM and you go to the page where IBM teaches you about blockchain, they'll give you several case studies. They'll give you a case study in the pharmaceutical industry. They'll give you a case study for the food trust blockchain that they have. They'll give you several different industries that they have personally written, and all of those were written on top of Hyperledger Fabric because that's their main offering, okay? Unlike some other distributed ledger technologies that were originally designed for ad hoc public use, where there's no privacy and literally no governance, which had to be significantly redesigned to add in support for permissions and privacy, Hyperledger Fabric was designed with those features at the beginning. So what they found, okay, the evolution of things, Bitcoin came out first, and it basically did transactions of coins which related to money, okay? Next comes Ethereum. And Ethereum says, hey, we need to have this be usable so that other developers can develop other applications on top of our platform. So Ethereum was never meant to be coins that you take to the store and buy things with. although some stores do take Ethereum, but it was never meant to be that. It was meant to be just a platform to transact or create other businesses on top of. And a lot of these other businesses you'll see that are building their blockchains are either on top of Ethereum or other smart contracts supporting blockchains. Now, Hyperledger Fabric, because they saw Bitcoin and they saw Ethereum, said, okay, obviously we want to build it so that applications could be built on top of it. So they started with a permissions and policy and privacy for those people who used it or businesses who began to use it. So let's move on. Okay, so these are the basic features of Hyperledger Fabric. First off, it's a permissioned architecture. In other words, you're going to establish accounts for people to join into the blockchain. Those accounts then are people you have validated, and everybody who is using the blockchain is known by the core of that blockchain. In other words, if business A is running it and they've got businesses B through Z joining with them, all of those businesses will know who the other players are, and they'll all have accounts, and then they will invite suppliers or other people to use their portions. So then it becomes highly modular. In other words, if you need a supply chain piece, you bolt that on. If you need a pharmaceutical piece, you bolt that on. Basically, you bolt on the various pieces and components, the type of smart contracts that are already pre-written for certain industries. You plug all those things in. There are different consensus methods that it can support. We'll talk a lot about consensus methods in the next couple weeks, but consensus methods is how they prove that the transaction is valid. Bitcoin does it with proof of work. Ethereum does it with proof of stake. Those are both what they would refer to as heavyweight consensus methods. These systems, like Hyperledger Fabric, use very lightweight consensus methods. So it has an open smart contract model. You've got flexibility to implement any desired solution in that model. It can be structured data, unstructured data. You can have an account system in there. So various different ways to support contracts built within it. Low latency and finality confirmation. That right there relates to the consensus method. But when I talk about a lightweight consensus method, I'm talking about a system that can confirm transactions very, very quickly. And that's very important to business, because you can't expect a blockchain that only does 100,000 transactions a second to support a business that grows large and invites other businesses there. It's got to do hundreds of thousands of transactions, even up into the millions of transactions per second, in order to really do what it needs to do. Multi-language support. So in other words, it'll support Go, it'll support Java, and it'll support JavaScript. We're not talking language like English and Spanish. We're talking about programming languages for programmers to program the smart contracts. Support for EVM and Solidity. Solidity is a blockchain programming language. Okay, you may learn about that if you decide to explore blockchain programming. EVM is the Ethereum virtual machine. So they even put support in here for the Ethereum virtual machine to write smart contracts and put it into this system as well. It's designed for continuous operations. In other words, 24/7. Rolling upgrades, which is a design that is incredibly important. And asymmetric version support. In other words, you can asymmetrically help with version control and version upgrades. Governance and versioning of smart contracts. Of course, we talked about governance a little bit earlier. Yes. Flexible endorsement model for achieving consensus across required organizations. That refers to the governance model. In other words, it allows you to, you've seen some systems that you start an approval cycle, and then it goes to person B and person C and person D, and once all those approvals are done, it's all approved and ready to go. That's what this particular thing is talking about, the flexible endorsement model. And then queryable data. They've got They have query support for JSON queries as well as other key-based query transactions. So basically, it's been built from the ground up for business. Hyperledger Fabric holds the majority of the market out there. IBM isn't the only ones that use them. The other major competitors also use it too. So I wanted to get you familiar with the major with the major blockchain development module out there, or software out there. It'll help as you go forward. You see these kind of features, and you can come back and refer to this and see these features being available, and you see what it's trying to focus on, and it can give you a better idea of what it's trying to accomplish. Okay, so that is what Hyperledger Fabric is about, and hopefully that'll help. Now, if you've got questions, some things that I haven't answered, please hit me with them in the chat window, because I'd be glad to answer what questions I can about it. Either that or I've put everybody to sleep. What do you think? Are we taking votes?
No, I don't think anybody's asleep. We are about 10 minutes till, but we've covered most of
We've covered our subject matter. Yep.
That's pretty cool. Actually, I do believe that in the future weeks we will be covering at least a couple cases where they had their own deployments built off of Hyperledger Fabric. So you kind of see it as kind of like the byline underneath a whole lot of other news stories that we'll be sharing. They are really essential.
And another comment too is these are the kind of articles that I hope you'll post on the Wednesday night discussion post. Articles that help everybody to learn together more than what we can learn just in a class or just out of that thin book that gives you the basics. This is where the meat of the class really is, and the coming to this and hearing about this and asking questions, as well as having these kind of articles posted to the discussion for each week. Okay. All right. If I'm not seeing any questions pop up, so I'm going to call for a roll call here at the end, and we'll let everybody let me know that you're still here, and then you can go ahead and sign off. Very good.
Yeah, at least that many people are not asleep yet.
Yeah, exactly. All of them were awake. That's good.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Sean. Good time. All right. Hey, hopefully everybody's doing well. I will get caught up on grading in the next couple days, and to make sure I'm done before. All righty. Very good. You bet. Everybody you have a good night too. Like I said, I'll get caught up on the grading before Sunday comes, and I've got a bunch more to grade. And so we'll look forward to seeing you next week. All right, let's go ahead and sign off. Thanks.